Vice President Harris last year heartily condemned any effort, quote, to erase and even rewrite the ugly parts of our history. But she didn't mention that the ugly parts of her own record would be exempt from that rewrite ban. Now a tidal wave of Kamalaflage has engulfed the presidential contest as Harris's entire career is being expunged, or at least purified, in a craven evidence-rigging scandal by media outlets and supposedly nonpartisan scorekeepers. In his televised farewell mumble last week, President Biden declared, "Nothing can come in the way of saving our democracy." Harris got the presidential nomination thanks to a de facto coup of Democratic Party kingpins. Yet on Sunday, the Washington Post hailed that flim-flam as the most spectacular transformation in recent American political history, a flash-bang midsummer swap at the top of the presidential ticket. The most spectacular transformation. Maybe that's woke Democrat equivalent for King Arthur plucking Excalibur out of that rock and becoming king or queen. Perhaps the Washington Post should change its motto to "Democracy dies as a spectator sport," given its effusive praise for Democrats' willingness to sideline the 15 million primary voters who supported Joe Biden this year. In 2019, Harris was hell-bent on a national fracking ban that could have crippled U.S. energy production. Donald Trump bashed her on that issue last week, and she changed her position. But there was a headline in Politico that misrepresented the case completely. That headline said, "Harris campaign pledges she won't ban fracking after a Trump accusation," implying that Trump had slandered her. How many other politically suicidal positions will the magazines help Harris hide? Centrist Democrat is the label of the moment for Harris's apologists, and even supposedly neutral sources are falling in line. GovTrak, one of the most quoted sources in Washington, boasts that it's dedicated to tracking the U.S. Congress to make our government more open and accessible, except for Harris. Back in 2019, GovTrak labeled Harris the most liberal senator, further to the left than even Bernie Sanders. But a few weeks ago, that webpage was deleted. The founder of GovTrak explained a single year was not sufficient to create a reliable portrait of the activity of legislators. Perhaps Harris was taken hostage in 2019 and an imposter cast Senate votes for endless budget-busting boondoggles in her name, but GovTrak offered no evidence of such a switch. Are we obliged to forget that Harris's hard-left positions helped wreck her gold-plated first presidential run? She raised $40 million but failed to win a single Democratic delegate. In 2020, as looters and arsonists ravaged Minneapolis after the killing of George Floyd, Senator Harris urged people to donate to the Minnesota Freedom Fund to help post bail for those protesting on the ground in Minnesota. Her appeal effectively exonerated anyone committing violence or other crimes, portraying them as worthy of speedy release from jail. But a CBS analysis last week absolved her of all blame because Harris did not personally donate to the fund. It didn't matter that her tweet urging contributions to the Freedom Fund was shared more than 15,000 times. The height of media cravenness so far is the vehement denial that Kamala was ever Biden's border czar. USA Today, CNN, Axios, Time, and other outlets joined to effectively exonerate her from blame for the 10 million plus illegal immigrants that have poured into this country since Biden took office. It makes me wonder if Harris's staffers cast a spell on pundits and reporters, making them stare at each other with glazed eyes and echoing the first Star Wars movie, say, "This is not the border czar we're looking for." In his televised farewell speech, Biden sought to bury Harris's failure by falsely claiming border crossings are lower today than when the previous administration left office, despite online videos of vast convoys of illegal immigrants lining up to cross the southern border like they're queuing up to ride Space Mountain at Disney World. It may be the fate of Kamala's campaign will hinge on an intellectual Keystone's cop chase, as her bootlickers rush to vaporize her past faster than voters can recognize her deceits. It's a question of whether Harris's path-breaking candidacy entitles her to achieve the Oval Office unburdened by what has been her life record. Unburdened by what has been is one of her favorite phrases and speeches. She pummels audiences with it on a weekly basis. How long will it be until we are told that Harris was born in a log cabin that she built with her own hands? That was a favorite scoff in the late 1800s for presidential candidates whose howlers about their personal history failed the laugh test. Maybe the biggest question of the 2024 presidential race is, will the catnip for cynics ever end?